introduction, but please do afford me them a brief introduction. Okay? Our speaker for today would be Mr. Edric Mendoza. He is a lead anchor of AMC's On the Money program. He is also the president of TMA Home School, an education institution over 23 countries with over 1,000 students across the world. Okay? Joining him would be his wife, Joy. He is the author of Teach with Joy, which is a blog that promotes the joy of marriage, parenting, and homeschooling. Together, they serve in their family ministry in the church. They are involved in discipling, mentoring, and counseling young couples. Their shared vision is to change the world through Jesus Christ, one family at a time. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming Mr. Edric Mendoza.
Excited by the topic? Yeah. Alright, quick show of hands. How many of you have ever seen an episode of On the Money? Raise your hands. Ayala, I love you guys. How many of you are married? Raise your hands. How many of you are single and willing to mingle? Raise your hands. Alright, okay. Lahat kami, yung mga nag-raise na hand, hindi na pwede mag-raise, okay? Let's get started. As mentioned by our host earlier, my name is Edric Mendoza, and I am the host of that show that some of you watch. I think after today, we might have more viewers. You know, in all of the professional speaking engagements I have had in my whole life, even internationally, this is the first time you were ever late. And I'm saying that because I realize that in the grand scheme of things, there's only one person who does not want us to be here. And because that one person doesn't want us to be here, and this is the first time we are ever late, me, ever, in all of my engagements, professionally to speak, that means there's a great message in store for you. Are you guys excited? Yes! Sino ang gutom na? Ayan, mabubusog ang ating mga puso today. Today, we're going to talk about love. Look at the person beside you and say, let's talk about love. So for those of you that are single and willing to mingle, the question or the idea is how to attract the right kind of mate. Baka nandito sa auditorium ngayon? Baka katabi nyo? Yeah. If you are married, dapat katabi ninyo. Or be the right kind of spouse. What does that mean? We'll expound on that a little bit. But let me introduce myself a little bit more on the back end. The whole series we're going to go through here is 3 parts. Today's the first part. And the idea is success. And the proposal is that success begins at home. And in that show, for example, I have the privilege of having to speak and guest and interview and pick the brains of over 1,000 of the most brilliant minds in the country. Brilliant. And in all of these discussions and in the interactions I've had, even outside, you know, I realize that the truly successful people I know, truly successful people, they start at home. So let me introduce you my own household. I have 5 children with my wife Joy. Yan, lahat ng mga anak na yan sa amin. Elijah, so that's me, and then my wife Joy, right? Our 5 kids, Elijah, Eden, Titus, Tiana, and Catalina. So far, these are our kids. We have been married for 14 years. Just a few weeks ago, we celebrated our anniversary. And to be very honest, marriage is not a perfect journey. So those that are single right here, right now, let me tell you something. It's not a perfect journey. But I look at my wife, and even as I look at the 14 years, it's really like we're still in our honeymoon phase. Points for me, right? Okay. So, I'm going to open up and say, today we're going to talk about relationships and the idea of how to find that person, or if you're married, how to be the right husband or right wife. And I want to show you why it can be a problem first. Let's watch this video.
It's just, there's all this pressure. you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me. And I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head. And it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Did you have a nail in your head?
It's not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there.
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing.
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail.
See, you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like, there's this achy, I don't know what it is. I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all the sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Sounds really hard.
Thank you. Ow!
Come on, if you would just
Don't.
So, I'm showing you that video to prove something. Are men and women different? Yes or no?
Yes.
Very different. Ang lalaki na kung may problema, tanggal mo yung nail. Yung babae, it's not about the nail. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at those differences. And our thesis for this idea of relationships, if you want to find Mr. Right or Miss Right, if you want to find that idea of the perfect person, or maybe you're married and you're wondering, you know what, my spouse, sana magbago siya, magbago siya. Instead of looking outward for the Mr. Right or Miss Right, instead of looking at our spouse, if you are married, for them to become Mr. or Miss Right, our proposal this afternoon is this: to find the right person, be the right person. If you are single, say it with me. To find, kailangan malakas para marinig ng iba. Makita na, single pala yan. Ang mga married, huwag sumama. Alright, married, this is for you. Married people, our proposal. If you want to see some change in your spouse, maybe they have a nail and you've been telling them for the longest time, you want to see some change, you want them to be the right spouse, finally. To have the right spouse, be the right spouse. If you are married, say it with me. To have
The right spouse, be the right spouse.
that is our proposal for this afternoon. If we are indeed to find, or in the opening words, right, attract the right mate, you're single, don't look too far. I was talking to a guy before, and he was a good friend. It's college days. We graduated, I married fairly younger, and he was pursuing girls, busted, ganyan. Kinausap niya ako, sabi niya, bro, I've been trying so hard to find that perfect girl. Parati na-identify ko siya, pero pag liligawan ko, talagang wala, busted parati. And then sabi ko sa niya, pare, tumingin ka naman sa salamin. In other words, don't look beyond. Because the reality is, if you want to find that person, you need to be that person. You want to find Mr. Right, a Miss Right, you need to be Mr. Right. You want to find Miss Right, you need to be Mr. Right. So I told him, I said, what areas in your life do you need to work on? So that women might see that, hey, you know what? This is a good guy. I like this guy. So he did. And soon after, long story short, he found Miss Right, married, he now has one child. The point is this: to find the right person as a single man or woman, be that right person. As a spouse, if you want to see your wife change or your husband change, well, don't look too far. You be the right spouse. Are you with me so far? Okay, so paano ba yan, Edric? Okay, let's get to the how. I will talk about the men's part, and my wife will talk about the women's part, because I have no idea the women's part. I am not a woman. So, as we do that, I want to make a very, very important disclaimer. I am not a love guru, although sometimes I feel like it. And I challenge anyone who claims to be that, because the reality is we're all works in progress. Yes or no?
Yes.
So what I'm going to propose is something that when I look at the world today, especially today, I am in news. A part of my life is involved in news. And if you're following the news, nagsona ng presidente natin, correct? I don't know how you feel about it, but nagsona na siya. Last one. The US government, the Supreme Court, a month ago, they had a very controversial ruling, right? The whole idea that, a man can marry a man now, a woman can marry a woman. And you look at other things, crazy things happening, the rise of terrorist groups, racial problems. I think as we go through this idea of relationships, we are not going to give so much of our opinion because it may count or may not, and we will share some of it. We will share a little bit of our experience, but I want to present the answer or this how-to guide for this proposal in the form of a standard. A standard. What is a standard? People have asked me, have asked my wife, have asked people we know, what is your perspective of this very controversial ruling and things of this nature? I have a very simple response. My fear is when things like that happen, what about a man who wants to marry his dog? Pwede ba yan? Hey, it's for love. He loves his dog. What about a dad and his daughter? Pwede ba yan? They love each other. How about 5 people? How about 4 people and their 2 pets? Sure, it's for love. Love can win. They love each other. Pwede ba yan? So you're all wondering, like, oh man, pwede ba yan? Where do we know? How do we know? What about pwede? How far do we stretch it? And that's the perspective I have. We need to have a standard. And today, as we look at this idea of finding the right person, means I need to be the right person. So, how do I become the right person? What do I need to do? As I mentioned, I will propose based on a standard. And this standard will ultimately tell us, pwede ba yun? Or hindi pwede. And the standard, coincidentally, if you look at the acronym, is very practical. It is our life manual. It has been my life manual. It has been my wife's life manual. And it is called the Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. This is the standard. This is what will tell us, pwede ba yun? Lalaki at lalaki. Pwede ba yun? 3 lalaki. Pwede ba yun? 2 lalaki, 1 aso at 1 babae. Pwede ba yung mag-asawa, tapos may anak sila, lahat sila magpapakasal? Pwede ba yun? How will we know? This is the standard. Is that okay? Anyway, this is advice that we will give you while you're waiting for your lunch. So you can take it, and I pray you do. This will be our standard. Let's get started with what we need to do to be that right person. This is my favorite photo of my wife and I. I have a question for you. Based on the standard, or maybe even an idea you might have, who is the better gender? Men or women? Oh, bilis na talaga. I see Anne over here. Anne, you heard the people speak. Women! Who says women are the better gender? Raise your hands. Who says men are the better gender? Raise your hands, men. Rakot. Rakot talaga. Ibang klase. Well, I have good news and good news. The good news is we are equal and we are not equal. Huh? We are equal and we are not equal. Let me quote the standard. Here's what it says. God created man in his own image. Male and female, he made them. So he created mankind. Woman, what is your name now? Arya, what is your name, sir? Jason, are you single? Are you single? Single. Sinong single lalaki ba dito? Single man. Arian and, come on, if you are single na, yan, tinakas na kamay. What is your name, sir? Jason? JR and Arian. Sabi si JR, kilala ko yan eh. Binasted ko na yan eh. JR, Arian. Alright. Arian and JR, you are both special. You are both made in God's image. What does that mean? Equal, right? You are equally special. JR, Arian, equal. But God said male and female to distinguish them. He could have said male and male. He could have said just one, but he said no, male and female. Because although you are equally special, man and woman, you represent everyone today. JR, you're the man. And you're the woman. So although you are equally special, the reality is they have distinct roles. How many of you are sports fans? Raise your hand. Sports. How many of you are not sports fans? Hold down. So, even in sports, you see this. If you are assigned a role and you decide, I am the point guard, I will dribble the ball and make the shots. This is my role. You are the center, you rebound the ball. If I decide one day, hindi na ako yung magdi-dribble. Ako na yung center. What will happen to the team? If the center, the big center, very bulky, decides, I will bring the ball and dribble it and make the shots, what will happen to the team? You can choose not to do your role, but the team will suffer. It will not win. It's the same principle. Man and woman, we have distinct, pre-designed roles. JR, Arian, man, woman. You are equally special, but you have distinct roles. You have distinct roles. If you switch it around, sure, you can do it. But the team will suffer. Are you following me so far? So what are those roles? That's what we're going to focus on. For the men and the woman in one single mindset is to help mate. What does that mean? I will not expound on it. My wife will. Helpmate has the idea in this verse, wives, be subject to your own husbands as unto the Lord. And like I said, my wife will expound on that later. For men, what is our role? Our role in the same breath of that verse is to be the head. Here's what it says. The husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. What does that mean, Edric? Let me expound for the head. We're going to look at the idea of being a lover and the idea of being a leader. Gentlemen, all the men here, I want you to say it with me. Loves and leads. Go. Wala nang conviction. Kaya kayo nandito sa seminar na ito no? Pinapunta kayo, matuto kayo. Yan, okay. Gentlemen, our role is to love and lead. Say it with me. Love. Wala pa rin conviction. Our role is to love and lead. Okay? Our role is to love. Lead. That's right. And are you single? Yeah, what's your name? Aaron? Nico. And ladies, meet Nico. He has conviction. Lover, leader. Gentlemen, that's what we're going to look at. For the women, we will look at the idea of submitting and respecting. I will not ask you women to shout it out loud. Talo bigla. So my wife will explain what that means in a little bit. In the meantime, gentlemen, eyes here. For the ladies, especially if you're single, my advice, as you look, you're trying to be the right person, these will be your checkpoints. If this is the right man for you. Are you with me? We're excited na sila. Yay! Let's go. Let me use the standard. Gentlemen, when we look at the idea of love and being a lover, here's what the standard says. We need to build relationships. Can you men read the verse with me? So husbands ought also to love. Very good. So, we're going to focus on just two words here. In this verse, it says that as a lover, husbands, love your wives as your own body. He who loves his wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own flesh. But what does a man do to his own flesh or to his own body? We nourish, or we should nourish and cherish it, right? So here's the idea that we're going to look for the men. When we look at the idea of nourishing, if you look at the context, see this standard, this Bible was not written in English. I think we know that. This particular text was written in Greek. And when you look at the Greek words of nourish and cherish, nourish is the word ektrefo. What in the world is ektrefo? Parang lababo. Ektrefo is the whole picture of like a plant or a garden that you nurture and nourish. If you have a seed, plant it in the ground, you will do everything you can to protect and provide so that it becomes a full blossom flower or a full grown tree. That is the idea of nourish. So gentlemen, when we look at the idea of loving our wives and nourishing them, think about that picture. And I will get practical in a little bit. In the meantime, that's the idea of nourish. To help nurture and provide for that thing or that person so that they might grow and become mature and full. Are you with me? Nurture. The idea of cherish is the Greek word thalpo. What is the word thalpo, on the other hand? The whole idea of thalpo, in simple words, is to be a good lover. To make that thing feel loved. To provide it with warmth and comfort so that they know they are loved. So on the one hand, it's functional. I need to nurture, provide for the needs, and see it fully blossom. And on the other hand, there's the feeling part where they feel love. And for men, maybe many of us men, that's not the easier part. It's easier to say, sige, I will provide, right? So, this is the twofold idea when we look at lover. A lover must nourish and cherish. So I'm going to break down, that's the idea of cherish right there. I'm going to break this down and make it practical for the men by answering a question. Are you a lover boy? Naghanap ako ng sticker. Nung panahon na grade school ako, sumasakay ako ng jeepney. Meron pang jeepney sticker na ganito ngayon. Noon. Ngayon wala na. You know that jeepney sticker that says, bus stop driver? So that's the idea. As a man, we need to be a sweet lover. So I'm going to ask questions, whether you're single or married, we're going to answer questions. For the single man, the idea of lover is, and for women who are maybe being pursued by a gentleman, how will I know, even as I try to be the right woman, that this guy is a decent guy? Here's a question on the idea of lover. Is that man, or are you as a man, taking care of anything, anyone? I know a person who said, before you get married, buy an animal. As a man, you take care of it and see if it survives. If it does not survive in the first few months, that's a sign for you.